Historical validation. The work of translating the Truth Scriptures Brit Hadash is supported by a wealth of historical evidence and scholarly research. Notable historians, bishops, and theologians, most, if not all, were not followers of Yahuwah, have acknowledged the Aramite or Aramaic and Abari Hebrew origins of the Brit Hadash New Testament texts. Figures such as Papias, Irenaeus, Clement of Alexandria, Origen, Eusebius, Epiphanius, and Jerome have all attested to this fact, providing a robust foundation for our translation efforts. These historical testimonies are invaluable in validating the authenticity of our approach. They confirm that the Brit Hadash New Testament was indeed written in the languages spoken by Yahusha, or Yahuwah Mashiach, and his disciples, further reinforcing the need to return to these original texts. This scholarly support underscores the legitimacy and credibility of the Truth Scriptures Brit Hadash, ensuring that our translation is both historically and theologically sound. Here are the admissions from each historian mentioned above. Papias, in 130 CE, was a Greek bishop and historian, and he says, Matthew composed his work in the Hebrew dialect. Irenaeus, in 170 CE, was a 2nd century Greek bishop, and he said Matthew also used a written gospel, Bashura, among the Hebrews in their own dialect. Clement of Alexandria, in 185 CE, he was a Greek philosopher and theologian, and he said the epistle to the Hebrews, he asserts, was written by Paul to the Hebrews in the Hebrew tongue. Origen, in 200 CE, was a scholar, theologian, and a historian, and he said the first gospel, Bashura, is written according to Matthew, wrote it in Hebrew. As Eusebius, in 315 CE, he was a historian, a bishop, and a close friend of Constantine. He said Matthew, also having first proclaimed the gospel, Bashura, in Hebrew, committed it to writing in his native tongue. Epiphanius, in 370 CE, was a historian and a bishop of the Catholic Church, and he said they, the Nazarenes, have the gospel, Bashura, according to Matthew, quite complete in Hebrew letters. And Jerome, in 382 CE, he was a bishop and historian, and he said Matthew composed a gospel, a Bashura, of the Messiah in Judea in the Hebrew language and letters. It's important to point out Jerome's deeper statement about what language the Brit Hadash was written in. Matthew, who is also Levi and a tax collector, came to be an emissary. First of all, evangelists composed a gospel, Bashura, of Messiah in Judea in the Hebrew language and letters for the benefit of those of the circumcision, or the Yahudim, sign-named Jews, who had believed. Who translated it into Greek is not sufficiently ascertained. Furthermore, the Hebrew itself is preserved to this day in the library of Caesarea, which the martyr Pamphilus so diligently collected. I also was allowed by the Nazarenes, the Nazarene, who used this volume in the Syrian city of Berea, to copy it, in which it is to be remarked that wherever the evangelist makes use of the testimonies of the old scriptures, he does not follow the authority of the 70 translators, aka the Septuagint, but that of the Hebrew. That's interesting. This renowned scholar and historian makes some powerful statements. He says, who translated it into Greek is not sufficiently ascertained. That means he had no idea who translated the Brit Hadash New Testament into Greek. This completely undermines the erroneous belief that the Brit Hadash New Testament was written in Greek. He went on to say, wherever the evangelist makes use of the testimonies of the old scriptures, he does not follow the authority of the 70 translators, or the aka the Septuagint, but that of the Hebrew. In simple terms, the evangelist Mattatyahu, Matthew, of whom he is speaking, says that when it comes to his writings, the book of Mattatyahu, sign named Matthew, when he uses testimonies, documentations from the Old Scriptures, the Tanakh, sign named Old Testament, he does not follow the authority, credibility of those who wrote the Septuagint, the Tanakh, written in Greek. Mattatyahu, sign named Matthew, uses his own language of Abari Hebrew. Again, this completely shatters the belief that the Brit Hadash was somehow originally written or translated from the Uni or Greek. You're listening to a reading from the Truth Scriptures Brit Hadash from the New Testament. This is the most accurate translation from the ancient Paleo Hebrew that exists to date. I'm excited to bring this to you, and we are only in the preface. This is part 3. We will continue with part 4. In the meantime, I want to invite you to go to truthbookmarks.com and download your free copy of the Truth Bookmarks, which will have the ancient Paleo Hebrew names that are accurate in the Truth Scriptures, cross-referenced with the names that we're used to seeing in our current, more contemporary translations. So you'll see the ancient names for all the books of the Bible, including the Old and New Testament. You'll see the ancient names of the names of our Father, the names of the Son, and many of the prophets. And you'll notice that the Father's name, Yahuwah, will be found in many of the names of the prophets. So go to truthbookmarks.com and download your free copy right now. And then on Friday, join us as we go deeper into studying the Truth Scriptures at the Truth Bible Study. It'll happen at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on my channel. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comments, and I can't wait to talk to you more. Take good care. Bye.